And these two has the ultimate view has now different, but the way of the interpret has different, because Baba Viveka, he using logic philosophy to establish of the Nagarjuna's theory, and Pasangaka is more refuting these logic theories. So we will discuss those things in 60th chapter in maybe next few days. And so anyway, these two, after Nagarjuna, there come also two major schools of the Madhyamaka, which is Pasangaka Madhyamaka school, Sutratantika Madhyamaka school. There are two Madhyamaka schools. And the funny thing is Baba Viveka is a really scholar, great scholar. After this Buddha Palita interpreted Nagarjuna's text in Pasangaka way, Baba Viveka refuted it. He wrote three great treatises. Lamb of, the Omat Noah, the light of Madhyamaka, and then also the auto commentary. Then also another lamb of the wisdom, which is interpreted word by word of the whole Nagarjuna's text. And then at that time, most of Madhyamaka philosophers follow the Baba Viveka, not Buddha Palita. They are more interested in Baba Viveka tradition, which is Satratantika tradition, Madhyamaka tradition. And then later this Chandrakirti came to this world. Chandrakirti, he found a lot of mistakes with Baba Viveka's interpreted. And also he found that Buddha Palita's teaching is more close to the Nagarjuna's teaching. That's why he holds the Pasangaka's tradition and refute Baba Viveka's interpreted and explanations. And then for that refutation and also explaining of the Nagarjuna root text, he wrote this text, Madhyamaka Avatara, entering the Madhyamaka. Madhyamaka, the means is Nagarjuna's text. So he introduced the Nagarjuna's text in the Pasangika way. In order to do that, he wrote actually three treatises. He first wrote this Madhyamaka Avatara root treatise, and which has 330 stanzas, I think, around has 330 stanzas. And then also he wrote auto commentary. This is his auto commentary. And later he wrote also clear word, which means interpret Nagarjuna's Mula Madhikaraka word by word from beginning to until end. It's huge, like this. And then, but still in India, actually Baba Viveka's school is larger than Pasangaka's school. The people believe that Pasangaka's school's theory and all those are really good for more people who would like to putting into practice, would like to have people who are more interested in practice way. And Baba Viveka tradition is interested by more scholars. So in India, these two Madhyamaka lineage came to until late, and then so in Tibet, that came to from this Madhyamaka tradition came from India to Tibet, Uh, Southern Tantrika tradition came to Tibet in the 7th century, and Baba Viveka's tradition. Because Baba Viveka's disciple is Shantarakshita. Janagarbha, his disciple, Shantarakshita, and also Shantarakshita's disciple is the Kamalakala. Those are following the Baba Viveka. The only differentiate is in when they accept the conventional truth, they have a slightly different. Otherwise, the way of the interpreting of the ultimate truth is the same. Those who came to in Tibet earlier, but Pasangika tradition come really late, maybe in 11th century. The Patsamnyimatava, the one of Lotsawa, he translated this Madhyamaka Avatara's root texts and auto commentary into Tibet. But still in Tibet, they are more stronger Baba Viveka's tradition at that time. And a very late maybe 13th century, then there's one such a master whose name is Rendava Yunulodu. He was the Jil Lobzunta was root master. He actually wrote a lot of commentary of the Pasangika Madhyamaka's tradition, and he expounded Pasangika tradition in Tibet, and he became very, very influential for Tibetan Mahayana schools. The later hand, the most of Tibetan philosophers they claim themselves a Madhyama Pasangika tradition. So that's how Madhyamaka tradition came from Buddha to until now. It's in a very brave way, and so before we started this Madhyamaka Avatara real text, and I want to say that the studying Madhyamaka is it's not just it is according to Mahayana, it's extremely important. Not only Sutrayana, but even if you are a Vajrayana practitioner, if you do not have idea, or if you do not have idea of emptiness, or if you do not have the idea of the middle way, then almost impossible to able to visualize in a creation meditation in a Vajrayana stage. Because our habit tendencies, we have a strong, very strong dualistic mind, fixation mind. We are fixation mind. If we cannot deconstruct our fixation mind, then it's very difficult to practice Vajrayana practice as well. So it's Madhyamaka, even in Chandrakirti himself mentioned in these texts, those who are out of the Nagarjuna tradition, they have no way to attain even Arhat stage. He made a state like that. So we will go through those texts later. So it's a very important text, and in this text is the kind of masterpiece of the whole Madhyamaka tradition, and also then if we studied this Madhyamaka Avatara very well, if we understood this very well, that means you have already understood whole Madhyamaka text. Even this, so because this Madhyamaka Avatara is kind of summary whole Madhyamaka's Shastras. And in this Madhyamaka text, in Tibetan, when after the translate from Sanskrit to Tibetan, it is 4-part: title, translator's homage, main body of the text, and conclusion matter or concluding matter. There are 4 parts. We usually, this is also the way of the interpret like this way, putting in the category like this way is a kind of more traditional. It also have a quite a lot of meanings, because when we discuss a title, it's also discussing the essential meaning of the text, and then also explaining why translators homage, all those things. Also, it's also introducing the history of the Madhyamaka as well. So, okay, I want to say here, Madhyamaka is the middle way. That means beyond from extremes. The Nagarjuna's followers themselves called, we are Madhyamaka. But no other Buddhist school will accept Nagarjuna's followers is Madhyamaka. They are called the Nagarjuna followers nihilist. Every Buddhist school, like Vibhashika school, Savatantrika school, Chitramata school, they all call themselves a Madhyamaka. They themselves are middle way. Because Buddha himself already clearly mentioned in the sutra, you should not fall in the extremes. Should go not only theory, not only view, even behaviors, even meditations, paths, all you should go middle way, balance, not too extreme. So, in this sense, Vibhashika school, they have also explained how they are beyond from two extremes, because Vibhashika school said we are Madhyamaka, we are beyond from nihilist because we are accept the law of karma. And also the thing that not like in Nagarjuna followers, we are accept the form is truly exist. Feeling, conceptual thoughts, mental factors, consciousness, all are truly existent. So that's why we are beyond from the nihilist. Also, we are beyond from eternalism because we are not accept this truly self. Vibhashika school and Sutratantrika school, both of them accept themselves as Madhyamaka. And also Chitramata school as Sam. Chitramata school usually do not accept form are truly existed, but they believe or accept consciousness, emotions, and then Tathagata Garbha, all are truly existed. So they also have a explaining themselves how they are middle way. But in a Nagarjuna tradition, when Chandrakirti look at their theories, as long as you accept something truly existed, as long as you have a assert on your own theory, as long as you have assert, so you have on theory, on thesis, that means actually you are already falling in extremes. And so that's why this Chandrakirti as the refuting the other schools. In this text, actually have a quite a lot of the debating with the top school of the Buddhist scholars. And so here, Madhyamaka Avatar, the title, in a Tibetan, we left a Sanskrit the title in a Tibetan. This is also why those great translators left in this title in Sanskrit, because in Tibetan people believe the Buddhist tradition which comes from India is really authentic. So if the text is its title is in Sanskrit, that is showing that text comes from the India. So they also showing indicate this text is very authentic. Why this is because in ancient time in India, kind of when they have a rule constitution, then not everybody can written and publish it as nowadays we can do. Nowadays we do, because have to pass. If you are commenting Buddhist text, you have to pass whether it's able to publish it or not through the many panditas, not only Buddhist pandita, also all gathering many panditas, professors. If you also written some texts or some books about non-Buddhist, also have to pass through the scholars. If the past, that means if accept by professors, both Buddhist and non-Buddhist, then can sponsor and publish it and declare asking to study it. If it was not that authentic, then the punish humiliated, very bad humiliated. That means the text hang on the dog's tail and burn on the text and ask whoever smell this smoke will be go lower realms, and making that kind of humiliated. And because of this kind of the strong tradition, having this strong tradition, that both Buddhist philosophy or non-Buddhist philosophy, which already written, already accepted by Nalanda University, is really authentic. That's what the Tibetan masters believe, and therefore, this status, if they left the title in Sanskrit, it's showing the authentic. It's an authentic text. That's why, and then translated in the Tibetan. Then Madhyamaka Avatar introduced to the Madhyamaka, as I mentioned, middle way. Middle way, the label or name means many difference. Many difference. For example, middle way, real middle way is the emptiness, which beyond from four extremes. That the ultimate middle way is the nature of the phenomena, which is beyond from four extremes or free from four extremes. That is the real Madhyamaka. The sutra and shastra which focus on that subject is also called Madhyamaka. Here, Madhyamaka avatars introduced to Madhyamaka. This Madhyamaka directly mean is the text shastra which is written by Nagarjuna, because this text is commenting or introducing the Nagarjuna's text. Indirectly, it also introduce the ultimate truth as well. And then second, the homage. These things that looks really easier, but it has quite good meanings. I would like to share with you, because in Buddhist scholar traditions, I think this not only Buddhism, in Indian scholar traditions, before they do any good things, they homage to the respectable object. Then, if someone do respect to the or homage or salute to some respectable object before starting good things, that actually considered a very good manner, which means showing them a so great person. You know, the usually great person do like that in Indian scholar traditions. And particularly in Buddhism, if you before starting doing some good things, if you do salute it to like double gems or like the deities who you like, it's create a lot merit. If you have a more merit, because of the merit you can accomplish it. You can complete it, your work. So have this kind of theory behind, because that the most of the translators in Tibetan, before they translate sutra or tantra or whatever, they make homage to someone, something. And before the last king, Tudava, there were many translators. When they translated text into Tibetan, they homage to whoever they like. For example, if my deity is Avalokiteshvara, I will homage to Avalokiteshvara and then translate it. If my favorite is Buddha himself, I just salute to Buddha and then start translate it. Do like that. But then King Tirava, and during that time, they made a kind of a rule. Okay. Now, since now, when you translate Buddhist texts from Sanskrit to Tibet, you can only make a homage to 3 objects. These 3 objects is the homage to Buddha and Bodhisattva, homage to only omniscient man, homage to Manjushri. Why? Because if you do homage like that way, for example, like Buddha teaching have a three basket, right? Can put all Buddha's teaching can put in the 3 basket: Vinaya, Sutraya, Abhidhamma. And then they made a rule that if the text belongs to the Vinaya basket and a commentary of the Vinaya basket, then you have to homage to Manjushri. Why? Because omniscient minded. Because in Vinaya, many rules, regulations. For example, because cannot cutting the grass. If cutting grass, they have a downfall. But lay people, if cutted grass, they have no downfall. So this kind of tiny connection link is only object of the Buddha himself. We cannot conceive it, the differentiated. So because of that, many Vinayas, precepts, or many tiny connection cause and result, only object of the Buddha himself. That's why if you homage, only you should homage to the omniscient one. And then sutras are usually taught by Buddha himself by like question and answering way with the Bodhisattva. That's why you should homage to the Buddha and the Bodhisattva. And Abhidhamma, the subject is more complex. It's more kind of, without having wisdom, without having sharp mind, it's very difficult to understand. That's why if you pray to Manjushri, in the Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, believe you will gain more wisdom. So that's why if you should homage to Manjushri. So if you make like this, then people, if you look at the homage, you know that this text which basket is belong to. and that's why this is a kind of a label of the basket, homage. Then two reasons. First one, translated to homage to here is Manjushri. Translate homage to Manjushri is for by blessing Manjushri to complete his translation work. And secondly, it's also belongs to this Abhidhamma. Our Madhyamaka Avatara belongs to the Abhidhamma basket. The Abhidhamma has Mahayana's Abhidharma, Charvakayana's Abhidharma, but this belongs to the Mahayana's Abhidharma. And then introduced to Madhyamaka. This, if we discuss a little bit on this, it also can help us to understand the whole, text. Nagarjuna, when he wrote Madhyamaka Mulakarika, he emphasized a lot emptiness aspect. He didn't very much emphasize on the relative truth. There are 27 chapters in the Mulamadhyamaka. Only one stanza talk about relative truth. Other all talking about the ultimate truth. Explain ultimate truth. So then after Nagarjuna, the many people have a wrong idea about Madhyamaka traditions. Some of them, even they said Nagarjuna is now Buddhist. Because, in the Mulamadhyamaka, he just homage to Buddha himself before the starting the written real text, and then just dedicate at the end. But now any other relative and path or result that he mentioned, even he one chapter established even Tathagata himself is not really existed. Tathagata himself is not truly existed. He established like that way. Because of that, many people have a wrong idea of the Nagarjuna's tradition. So because of that, then this Avatara, he introduced Nagarjuna's text. He's by telling the true truths, relative truths, and ultimate truths. Also, and Chandrakirti introduced the Madhyamaka Nagarjuna's text through explaining the profound, which means emptiness, and also vast and expounding method, which is a relative truth. And so he commented of the Nagarjuna text that way. This text is a commentary of the Nagarjuna's Madhyamaka, but this text does not comment it word by word. It's a summarized of the Nagarjuna's Madhyamaka text. And then also another interesting thing that this Chandrakirti commented Nagarjuna's text combined with the Dasa Bhumi Sutra. Dasa Bhumi Sutra, which is taught by Buddha himself. It's Mahayana Sutra, and talk about the 10 Bhumis. And he combined with this, and this Madhyamaka root text has around 30 stanzas and 11 chapters. Some chapters have less than one stanzas. But the first chapter and third, and the sixth chapter is the longest one, which is wisdom chapter. There is also this chapters 11 chapters. First 10 chapters. It's each chapter like talk about first Burmese preeminent practice combined with like that the first 10 Burmese who emphasize 10 paramatas. He talk each chapters all they are extensive way, and then the first 5 chapters he more emphasis on the relative truth. We have more emphasis, more method part, and the 6th chapter is he emphasizes on the emptiness, wisdom part. I think in a really detailed way, he putting wisdom path into selflessness of the phenomena, selflessness of the person, and then when it establishes selflessness of phenomena, he using many different logics, Vajra-like, diamond-like reasoning, and then interdependent reasoning, and there are 5 major reasoning he used and establishing the establishment of the phenomena. We will trying to discuss on about in the next few days. So then I suppose all of you have a root text of the in your mobile phone, or but if you don't have it, it doesn't matter. So then, in the actual part, actual text or man body is written by the homage translation homage written by translators, not Chandrakirti. He's a Patsabdotava, Tibetan translator. Then in the man text, right beginning of the text, and Chandrakirti also have homaged. But the interesting thing that usually in Indian, those masters homage to maybe Buddha, Bodhisattvas, or other deities. But Chandrakirti doesn't homage to Buddha and Bodhisattvas and other deities. Chandrakirti homage to compassion. So first the 3 chapters, 3 stanzas. 3 stanzas are the homage, what you call, praise to the compassion or homage to the compassion. The first 3 chapters. This is not only just homage. This is also talking about a lot of things. These 3 also talking about, in this text, the Madhyamaka text, it's not only philosophical text. It is also practical guide. Practice guide. If we want to go to some place, we need to map step by step, not only one particular area. It's like that. This Madhyamaka Avatara is a map or guiding map of from beginning of to until the Buddhahood. So these homage stanzas not only just homage to compassion, it's also showing the practice of the accumulation path and the application path. When usually when there are 5 paths or 10 stages, 11 stages, 5 paths in order to reach the Buddhahood, we first start from accumulation path, and then reach application path, and seeing path, meditation path, and then completion completion path is a Buddha stage. We have to go like step by step like that. That is one we path. But also the boom stage which is talking here, 10 stage. Those 10 stage of the Arya are all Arya Bodhisattvas stage. Before first stage, there are two ordinary stage, which is, Mupalajubisa, and the application path and accumulation path, application path, both on the stage of more desire, wishing stage. So these homage stanzas also actually indirectly showing this application path and accumulation path and application path as a practice as well. This is they must remember it. And so I would like to read in this root text, and then I will try to talk about this homage part, because it's not only homage to the compassion. It's talk a lot of things here. So I would like to discuss on here. The first stanza said, the Sharakas and those halfway to Buddhahood are born from the Meti sage, and Buddhas take their birth from Bodhisattvas heroes. Compassion, non-duality, the wish for Buddhahood for others' sake, are cause of the children of the conqueror. And then second strand of Buddhahood is abundant crop. Compassion is the seed. It's like moisture bringing increase, and is said to ripen in the state of the lasting happiness. Therefore, to begin, I celebrate compassion. Okay. Here, this is three stanzas. First is showing why Chandrakirti celebrate, or Chandrakirti saluting to compassion. Why? The first, why he not homage to Buddha? Why he not homage to like Bodhisattva and Arhat or Pratyeka Buddha? Why he homage to compassion? That's question. He's saying that. Those Sharvakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, here translate halfway to Buddhahood. So Pratyeka Buddha or middle Buddha, born from Buddha's speech. Buddha himself were born from Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva himself born from three different causes: compassion, non-duality, and bodhicitta. And among the three causes, actually without compassion, there is no bodhicitta. So in this case, bodhicitta is the seed of the whole Buddha. A monster, the Buddhist of the Buddha, and also ripening of the Buddha. Compassion is everything. Therefore, he said, I'm a homage to the compassion. And so I also would like to talk about here a little bit about how could be Sharvaka or these Sharvakas and Pratyeka Buddha were born from Buddha's speech. How Buddha could be born from the Bodhisattva. And, Buddha was giving the teaching like dependent origination. Buddha taught those teaching, and the Sharvaka and Pratyeka Buddhas, they just listened what the Buddha taught, and they're contemplating it, and then they meditate it, and they achieve according their wish. So according their wish means, the